Hey, HR friends, welcome back. So we made it to the last 12 hours in the 3-5 emotional 6.5 day sequence. This is the last 12 hours before we're going to flip out of this 3-5 emotional sequence and move into the 3-6. Now, in the next 12 hours, we're going to introduce the 3-6 and we're going to talk about that entire sequence just like we did in the 3-5 here. Now, it's always important that we start by talking about polarity moments. Why? Well, to understand what this is, you have to understand we're in a sentient space-time construct. Sentient just means that we're emotional beings and that we have to work through our emotions, and we should do this in a positive or constructive way if we want to eliminate stress and make our future experiences positive. Now, here's the difficulty with that. You see, we're designed to be defensive. We have a defensive system of control hardwired into our bodies, the fight or flight mechanism. So what we've done here is we've created graphs that make it super easy to see when your defensive design is going to be activated. Now, we always reference the number 4. If our graphs reach a number 4, that means it's going to start to agitate you from the inside out. And whether you are aware of this or not, it is engaging your defensive design, which is going to make you either want to run away from your problems or stand up and fight for them in ways that make more stress. Now, we want to help you eliminate your stress. Why? Well, stress is what causes accelerated aging, and it also accumulates to create future states of disease. So if you know when these agitating moments are coming, what's not going to happen to you is you're not going to be manipulated by this unseen pattern. It's not going to convince you or trick you into making more stress for yourself or the people around you. Super, super important to understand. Now, the 3-5 has been pretty relaxed here in comparison to what's coming, okay? The 3-6 is going to start to ramp up, and it's going to get even stronger after that when we start to transition into the next awareness after the 3-6. So we really, really want to keep things as calm as we can right now and eliminate as much stress before we get to these higher levels of testing. When I say testing, it's just the number is going to be at a 4 and above a 4, and it's going to be holding for some duration of time. Now, understanding that and taking this proactive approach, that's what we're trying to help you with. Now, first person agitation, that's going to be the people that you deal with on a day-to-day basis. And when these moments elevate, it's going to make you irritated with either lack of communication or somebody's routine and how it's not working out with your routine. Third person agitation, this has to do with the larger or the bigger picture. And this has to do with people and what they invest in at the larger level, their philosophical beliefs or religious beliefs, things like that. Now, we put these two things together into a combined graph. Why? Well, it's pretty hard to separate your stress. Stress is super messy. If you have stress at your house or stress at your work, it's hard to keep those two things separate. And if you have stress in those areas and then you're also agitated about what's going on in the bigger picture, that just amplifies your stress. So the easiest graph for anyone to look at is this combined graph. And if this combined graph gets to a 4 or stays above a 4, it just means that your defensive design is very likely going to start to manipulate your choices. You are going to want to fight or run away from problems. And again, we cannot escape our design. This is what we are. Okay. So the most important thing is understanding that design, understanding that that design is trying to fool, trick, or bring you to a place that's going to create and accelerate more stress. Super, super important. Now, when we get to the end of these sequences, what's going to happen here is this emotional sequence is going to end. So this is like we've hit a high tide. There's going to be a stagnant moment, and then the electromagnetics are going to reverse polarity and start flowing the other direction when we get to the 3-6. And that is going to cause a lot of agitation. Okay. It's a big change in a short amount of time, and this is going to mess with everyone's emotional rhythms. It's going to create a polarity flip that's going to mess with emotions, and it's really going to test us. Now, you can see that this polarity flip is starting to happen right here where this elevation is. This means that there's an E polarity flip, and the good news is there's only one. It can be a dual, and in this case, it's not a dual, it's only one. And when we get to the other side of this is going to drop off. The third person's going to jump up. And that's going to be difficult. So for the next 24 to 36 hours, everyone really needs to be on high alert. Okay. This title change is kind of a difficult thing, and the next sequence is going to strengthen. So it's going to be stronger and it's going to be a little bit tougher than the one we just came through. This was very vanilla. All right, so let's get down here now, and we're just going to talk about the overall objective because our defensive design is actually trying to stop us from achieving this. You see, in the sentient space-time reality, we're all born either sons or daughters. We're born into a team or into a family. And the sons and daughters, they're the teammates. They're learning about their responsibilities and what they're going to contribute to the family. The fathers and mothers, they're supposed to be more mature, and they're supposed to be the leaders or the captains of this team. Now, the other side of this sentient space-time reality is what we're supposed to be doing. It's not that all families should be doing something different. No, it's the exact opposite. We all come from the same math. We're all supposed to have the same focus, and that focus is our leaders of every family should be trying to help inspire our teammates that are developing on how to balance their routines between family, individual, world, and national perspective. Now, the difficulty with these parents or the difficulty with these captains when they're trying to help mature their teammates is that their teammates are going to have some feelings or desires about what it is they want to do and how they want to invest their time. We all experience this. We all have something that we're interested in. And if that interest overpowers us so that it stops us from equally balancing our routines, that's how we end up with an unbalanced reality. So parents or captains have a really tough job because what they have to do is they have to encourage these younger teammates to develop their skill set, but to not develop it in unbalanced ways. And that's exactly what's happened here. Okay. We didn't know we were in this space time construct, and we didn't know all families should be working on this together. So, what's happened here is families have really overinvested in their individual and family strategy. Why? Well, it's our defensive design. We want to make sure that future generations are going to have an advantage. And when we overinvest in these areas, what we do when we create an advantage for our teammates or our family, we're starting to create a disadvantage for other teams or families that are competing with us. You see, we don't want to compete against each other. We want to work together. That's why it's so super important to understand this construct. And going forward, we need to have better leadership. Our past and present leadership has been encouraging our family members to really be concerned about their families and themselves at the highest level. And then if they can, they contribute to the world in the national level, but in a way that's going to help what they've established for their family. That has to change. People are going to have to sacrifice some of the resources that they've occurred, and they're going to have to make sure that they're balancing that so that other families have the same ability. That's how we're going to balance the world and the nation. You see, when we look at the bigger picture right now, every nation is in conflict. There's huge separations between social status, and there's a huge separation in who's controlling and manipulating our resources. You see, all of our teams are supposed to be working together. We don't need certain members of the team then trying to manipulate the other teams. We need all teams working together. Now that we've shown you this mathematical construct, it should become very clear what every member is expected to do. We are expected to get along with our team. We are expected to cooperate with our team. We are supposed to be encouraging all our teammates to develop their skills, but to ensure that as they develop their skills, they're still taking a balanced approach to make sure that we're going to create a larger collective existence where everybody has equal opportunity and everyone's working together. That's going to be the hardest part. In addition, we need leadership that not only wants to do that at the family level, but is willing to do that to try to interconnect all of these families. That's what Health Reconnected is trying to establish. We're trying to bring all our families together to this mathematical understanding of what it is we're in here and why we would want to do this. You see, every single person that decides to commit themselves to the team and get along with every teammate and encourage every teammate to balance, and then themselves make sure that they have a balanced routine, they will be in perfect alignment with these governing frequencies. You see, these frequencies are all about balance and equality. And if your choices and your actions are out of balance or equality with any of these teammates, or any of these perspectives that are expected to be done in your routine, then your body will take damage in the quadrants that we listed here. We've got them broken down as easy as we can. Green is upper left quadrant, yellow is upper right quadrant, orange is lower left quadrant, red is lower right quadrant. If you struggle with the relationships on either side of these graphs, that is the part of your body that's going to endure destructive interference. It's going to have increased aging, it's going to have increased destruction, and it's going to have future states of disease in those quadrants. If you decide to commit to the team and you decide to balance your routine, You will not take damage. You will actually, your body will be in harmony with these frequencies. It will strengthen your body's ability to be healthy and heal. And if you do this consistently, you can prevent and reverse disease. That's how cool this is. Now, the last thing we haven't talked about is what we're seeing at the collective level. You see, when we get individuals to commit to their team and to balance their routine, that's going to help their individual health. But when we get regions of individuals doing this, we can actually improve and heal the world and our nations. We can slow the progression of these climate disasters, and we will definitely minimize the destruction that's happening within our social structure. That's how important it is to spread this message. All right, so let's get down there now, and we're going to talk about the 12 hours before we flip into the 3-6. Now, down here, this 24-hour guide is super important because we really zoom in the electromagnetics for you. And we've synchronized these electromagnetics with all 24 time zones. So to find your time zone offset, you come down here, you sort through these. Once you find your offset, it's going to hold for 10 seconds, and you can screenshot this with your phone. We do this for people that don't have good internet. If you have great internet all day long, you go to healthreconnected.com. We have a live feed set to universal time, and it runs a time bar right through this sequence. And it's important. I use this every day. Every time I feel defensive or I see someone around me starting to act defensive, I reference that live feed. And that time bar, you'll see, it's going to confirm that it's going to be in these peaks or it's going to be in these moments where polarity are up. And that's actually what's agitating our defensive design and making us want to have counterproductive or negative relationship that leads to stress. Can't make it any more clear to you how easy this is to confirm if you decide to use the technological advantage we've created for you. All right, so enough about how important the electromagnetics are here. And you can see that when we get to this transition, we're going to have a heck of an electromagnetic spike here. You can see how first person drops off and how third person comes up. And the most important thing in this next 12 hours is making sure that you don't make this harder on yourself in your first person perspective. Do not agitate, and make sure you stay as calm as you can with the people in your family, the people you work with, and the people in your community, and they're all going to be tested just as much as you are. So please, please be very patient and understanding with them, and definitely don't bite into it and make it worse for them or for you. All right, so that's enough about what we're going to expect in this next 12 hours because we're going to do a post here again when we get into this 3-6 and discuss that. Now, what we're going to talk about next are the alignments in this first 12 hour, and there are two of them. When we get to the end of an emotional sequence, it will always pair up with a macro P. And what that does is it creates awful strong alignments at the end of the sequence. It's like an exclamation point. Now, these alignments are when two hands of the clock, so the E and the P clock hands are perfectly aligned when these are happening. And what that does is it increases frequencies. And those frequencies are specifically testing relationships. So these blue alignments here, these blue lines, they relate to a test that has to do with our first person perspective or how we get along with our teammates. These purple lines or the purple alignments have to do with how well we're balancing our routine. Now, as this time bar is going to progress through here, you can see we're really going to be tested on if our routine is balanced at the larger, the national, and the world level. Now, if your routine isn't doing something on a daily basis where you're contributing to a national and world strategy that's mutually beneficial for everybody, you see, everybody does something in the larger picture when they work. They're contributing to something, but does what they contribute to, is it mutually beneficial? So you'd really want to invest your time in things that are going to help everybody, not just yourself. Now, that is why a lot of people are going to feel this alignment. This is a super strong alignment, and it's 12.25 hours long, okay? That has to do with routine choices and ones that are difficult because, again, we just didn't know how this worked. We let our defensive design convince us that we need to invest more in our individual and family, when the truth is we need to equally invest in individual and family just as we do in nation and world. Now, the other alignment we're going to talk about is the EP here. This is a 3-hour alignment, okay? This is going to test specifically how we get along with young females. So our female teammates that really haven't figured out yet what it is they're going to contribute or how they're part of this team, but they're trying to. And this is how you do relationship with them, as far as how do you encourage them to develop their skills, but how do you also encourage them to make sure they stay balanced? See, that's the hardest part of this. People, when they really are excited about something, it takes them out of balance. And to help somebody understand the importance of getting in back into balance as they develop that skill set, that is a difficult conversation. And for people who don't want to do the things that you're talking about, or maybe don't understand the importance of it yet, it's going to be very challenging. That's what leadership is all about. Okay, so now you got an idea of the alignments that are coming here. And if the time bar is going through this and you feel something in your left lower quadrant when we get into this alignment here, that's the blue one, then that's a confirmation that you need to really work on that first person perspective. And if you have a lot of stuff going on in that right upper quadrant during this next 12-hour period, well, that tells you right there that your contributions, even if you're contributing to a national or world level, they're out of balance. You see, it's not just okay that we contribute at some level. We have to contribute as balanced as possible. The more balanced you contribute, the more balanced your body will become. That's how easy this is to understand. And these alignments are super, super easy to help you confirm this. Now, this alignment right here, I expect is going to get a lot of people. It's going to affect neck pain. It's going to affect vision, hearing, memory. It's going to possibly be the initiator to you getting sick because this is the part of your body that mounts an immune response. So I really expect people to notice this. And out of all in this 12 hours, right upper quadrant is most likely where people are going to experience things. All right, so let's get down here and quickly talk about the testing sequence today. And we're only talking about this first 12 hours. Now, you can see that left upper quadrant, not so strong. Right upper quadrant, way above a 4 and holds above a 4. Left lower quadrant, at a 4, holds above a 4. Right lower quadrant, not above a 4. So the two areas we're concerned about is left lower quadrant and upper right quadrant. And look at, these are the alignments. There they are. Left lower quadrant, right upper quadrant. Now, this alignment's a way longer. It goes on the entire 12-hour period. Much more likely people are going to be feeling this more than anything else. Now, these are the macro positions, and because we only have a 12-hour sequence, there isn't a P2, we only have a P1, so we have 8. And you can see when we count this up, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 on the left, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 on the right. So kind of balanced as far as how that looks, but you can see there's more in the upper right and there's more in the lower left. Really expect right upper quadrant, and possibly some left lower quadrant. All right, let's end this out now. And we're going to talk about what we've done for you down here. We've already posted the rest of the electromagnetics for 2024. This is the summer season. This is the fall season. And this allows you to look forward in time and know when there are going to be moments of agitation. Now, these agitating moments affect us globally. This is the pattern that Health Reconnected uses to make accurate predictions about weather events that are coming and about social disturbances that are coming. And we can make these predictions because of our body's design. Because we're designed to be defensive and these agitate our defensive design, it ensures that we're going to create negative experiences and mistakes, and we're supposed to be learning from those. Now, we're not going to be able to stop these from coming, but we are going to prepare as many people as we can so we can minimize the negativity, the damage, and the destruction that they lead to. All right, so that's a pretty good review of what this is all about, and we'll see you in the next 12 hours.